Hey, good evening. Welcome into this week's edition of State of the Tigers, presented by James Carlton State Farm, as we are every week online at carltoninsurance.net. Get in touch with James Carlton to take care of all of your insurance needs. I am Gabe DeArmond, the publisher of PowerMizzou.com. Once again, this is State of the Tigers, the only college football show that promises not to get in a fight with any other college football shows about the recruitment of Williams Winery, which ended 3 days ago. So we are moving on to more pressing matters. And the first matter, obviously, we want to remind you of, as we are every week, brought to you by James Carlton State Farm Insurance. Look, we all need insurance. It costs you money, but it doesn't have to cost you a ton of money. James Carlton can take care of you. CarltonInsurance.net, 314-961-4800, the phone number, and Facebook.com/Carlton Insurance on the website for the more advanced in age members of our audience who are still on Facebook all the time. So, excuse me, check out James. He's going to do his best to take care of you, get you the best deal he can on insurance. He's also, if you get a quote from him and mention this show or this website, he is going to contribute $20 to Every True Tiger Foundation, Mizzou's NIL collective, and could be some news coming up for ETTF here in the next couple weeks. Missouri's NIL law officially goes into effect in 11 days. I'm sure we'll be talking plenty about that. We welcome Jarod Hamilton onto your screen. Jarod, we've only got one more football practice to watch. You sad? You gonna miss that?
No. No. It's not something you guys may think of, but something I quickly caught on to was there's a practice every single day for about 2.5 weeks. I only got a certain amount of work clothes on, so I've been out here washing laundry crazy.
Well, my thing is, every year, this is the 21st year, and every year, like the first couple practices, I'm like, all right, we're back. I got so much energy. We're going to do so much stuff. We are going to cover the hell out of this. And then by like day 4, you're like, camp over yet, man? Because I've seen all this stuff already.
Yeah, it's monotonous and it's kind of redundant for some things because there are some days where you just feel like this feels like a copy and paste from the other day, and then one day randomly you'll get something where you're just like, okay, there's a lot of different things I saw, but for the most part, I mean, if you was just to ask me, Jarod, map out their drills, I probably could tell you at least half of them of what we get to see in order.
For sure. I like the one that they take big like blocking pads and swing them at the receivers and try to get them to drop the ball. That's my favorite one. But
anything that has Blake Baker yelling at the top of his lungs is mine.
There you go. I did enjoy last night the students trying to catch a punt because I've always said, like, I think that's like the hardest thing to. I would be terrified if I was back there. I mean, my son returned punts for a while in high school, and the good news was almost nobody ever got the ball to him in the air. But like that would be an awful job. I wouldn't want that at all.
If I wasn't working this job, I would have went out there. I'm telling you, I think I would. I think I could have got one. I think I could have got one.
Yeah. Have you ever returned a punt?
Not in like a game or nothing, but I've had people who know how to punt and stuff like that and have done it. Like I've physically done it. Now they were saying, let's do a punt return and you line up in the back for real and we make this live.
Yeah. And like there's dudes running at you. That ain't gonna work.
No. Can't.
So want to invite you guys, if you got questions, comments, throw them over in the queue. We'll get to those certainly throughout the show. This may be a little shorter show than usual. I don't know. We've been going about an hour lately. Maybe a little shorter just because it's not the newsiest week. Next week, we're going to do kind of our season preview, pick some games, things like that. And I think college football actually starts a week from tonight. I think it's like UMass and New Mexico State or something play a week from tonight. So that'll be a big one. I know everybody will be watching that. But tonight, look, there is a little bit of news. Jarod, you posted on our message board last night that from what we're hearing, it looks like a 3-man quarterback race maybe has become a lot more of a 2-man quarterback race right now.
Yeah, it's looking like it's Brady Cook and Sam Horn not going for it. I'm pretty sure Jay Garcia still is going to get some looks though in at least one game. I mean, if anything, those are games they're gonna win by a lot. So why not see, what changes in the in-game setting? But it seems like every throw, every snap, every pre-snap adjustment, all of that is being, watched carefully by the coaching staff. So yeah, two-man race between Cook and Horn. And I'm sorry that, those news clips you guys were watching for 30, 45 seconds of Jay Garcia, they're working for you. I was
Maybe didn't tell the whole story.
Yeah, I try to tell y'all that there's a lot that goes on that we don't get to see. Don't just look at the good clips or the bad clips and make a judgment off of that.
Well, and everything we have been able to see, Brady Cook has been taking the first team reps. Sam Horn has largely been going second. Now, again, like Jarod said, we don't see everything. But you've got to imagine if that's the way it's going in drills, that's the way it's going when they go to live team periods and all that. So I don't know if this is Jarod or Jarod. Jarod, did you log in and ask us a question? Is that you?
Nah, I wouldn't do twice the work. And that doesn't look good for us, Gabe. Me asking the questions and then answering them out loud.
Hey, you never know, man. It's like a plant in the audience, right? Hey, if things aren't going well, okay, you just maybe ask a question. But he wants to know if we've heard anything about like where or how Garcia has been coming up short. I mean, I really haven't. I think. I mean, I haven't heard specifics. I like the easy default answer here is the other guys are just playing better. Now, I know that's not what he's asking. He's asking, is there something specific? But I haven't really heard anything specific on that.
The only thing I remember is Drink said something like he needs to work on, I think it was footwork for him in the pocket. But that doesn't mean I doubt that's the only reason, because everybody has some type of flaw. But that's the only thing we've heard specifically about what he has to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So give me a date when you think Drinkwitz actually says this is our starting quarterback. Like for not for South Dakota. This is QB1 for the 2023 season.
I don't got the schedule in front of me. What day is the Kansas State game? I gotta
September 16th.
Okay, that's September 16th.
So whatever the Monday is. Media day for that game would be September 12th.
Yeah. Whatever that day is, I'll put that in. So that starts that week, going into Kansas State, he makes a decision. But I say 55% on that. 45% is we just go to the game and there you go. That's when you realize.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking he makes the decision, but he doesn't tell us. I think we don't know until the end of the Kansas State game on September 16th. And based on what unfolds that day. Yeah. Because what if the guy he starts isn't playing well and they're down 10-0 at the end of the first quarter? Maybe he puts in the other guy and the other guy plays well. So I don't think we know until after the K-State game who QB1 is going forward.
All right. I'm thinking in one of these first two games, somebody just does. If he's teetering, but somebody has a really good game, especially if it's that second game, they have a really good game, I can see him just saying, you know what? All right, that's what we're gonna do. Going into it.
Again, here's why I don't think so. Because let's say one of the two clearly has played better the first 2 weeks, right? Against South Dakota and Middle Tennessee. And let's say he comes out on Monday and says, whichever one it is, we're just going to say quarterback A, because I know how the discussion goes when we name them Cook and Horn, and I don't want to do that. So, all right, quarterback A is my starting quarterback. Mm-hmm. And he goes out and he starts 1 for 6 with a pick against Kansas State, and Kansas State's up 10-0. And then he got to go to the other guy. See, now if he has not told us quarterback A is my quarterback, it can just be, hey, we've been playing 2 guys. We're taking a look at 2 guys. So I don't think he's going to tell us. I don't think he's going to publicly say before the start of game 3.
The only thing about that is that caveat to me is Brady Cook would have to start, or whoever starts game 1 needs to start game 2 and needs to start the Kansas State game for you. If he makes any starting changes, that's where I feel like it can be maybe a little confusing, or maybe
I got no problem with confusing. Confusing's fine. I think Drink wants confusing. Like, I think, look, I know how these coaches think. I think in his head, he will believe it gives him a competitive advantage for Kansas State to not know which quarterback is playing against them. I'm not saying it does, but I think so. So I would maybe go the opposite of what you're saying. Whoever starts game 1, other guy starts game 2. I want to see how the other guy does in a 0-0 game.
Yeah, that is a good point.
If it's really that close. Now, maybe it's not that close, right? But but I think everything we've heard is like it's a pretty competitive battle. Like, I legitimately, I don't want to say there's not a leader. There's probably a leader, but I don't think there's like a decision anywhere close.
No, for me right now, I'm just gonna say the default is Brady Cook, but like default, not he's this and that. We're just sticking to what they said entering camp.
Yeah. So we'll see. Again, we don't really expect a decision or an announcement. They've got an open practice Saturday night, and it'll be interesting to see if they, because like a lot of times, this is the last point on this, but a lot of times, I think if you have a true quarterback battle, like Sam Horn has to be getting some reps with the ones, right?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Because it's not fair to throw Brady Cook out there with Burden, Weiss, and Cooper, and then throw Brady Cook out or throw Sam Horn out behind the number 2 offensive line and make your judgment that way. You've got to switch it up to make a fair competition.
Yeah, that's what I was about to bring up. Like, he's obviously got to be doing his one work when we're not there. Because, how could he get any rhythm with those guys?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Jarod bringing up the Michigan thing from last year with Cade McNamara and J.J. McCarthy. That one always seemed to me like Jim Harbaugh wanted to start J.J. McCarthy. He was just looking for a reason. I don't get the feeling that exists here. But we'll see how it goes. This question from Camden kind of leads into what I wanted to talk about next. We want to talk some offensive line stuff. So first off, Jarod, you wrote about Connor Tollison either earlier this week or last week. I don't know, the dates all run together. But he basically, like, I don't know if anybody's officially said he's the starting center, but he's the starting center. So is that, how do we take this? Is this good? Is this bad?
I wrote in 4 Down Territory that I think it's the best scenario that could have happened, in my opinion, because Cameron Johnson was coming in to compete with him, and there's been a lot of stuff about him being an all-conference first-team left guard, right? So my thing is, why not have the what's it? I think Tollison's a redshirt sophomore. He grows, develops another year. He's got the experience. He knows what he needs to do. It's just about confidence and kind of putting it all together. If he does that at center, you don't have to take a left guard and make him learn all those new commands and personnel coming in. On top of that, Cameron Johnson had, as good as he was, and he's a pretty good pass blocker, he had 11 penalties last year in the AAC. Connor Wood, Mitchell Walters, they each had 10. Tollison himself had 7. So you're going to take a guy who, while he was a all-conference guy, he still struggled at his position in the AAC. You're going to move him to center, I think, and give him all sorts of types of responsibilities. To me personally, like, I thought also, like a lot of us, other people thought, okay, he's going to be the leader because that's why they brought him in here. Now that I'm thinking about it, Tollison getting his spot back, seeming to, be better at snaps, getting a little bit of weight on him, pre-snap command, all that other stuff seems like a better fit. Now you can move a guard and put him in either guard spot you see fit for him.
You may be 100% right about that. This type of thing is what I hate about not really being able to see anything meaningful in practice, because everybody around the team is saying, man, Connor's gotten way better. He's made this big jump since last year. And look, that may be true, right? We just have to assume it's true. We have to trust that these people are telling us the truth. But again, I always go back to at the beginning of the year, Conzo Martin would tell us this team's got enough talent to win the SEC. Well, you kind of have to believe him. I don't know. We never see practice, but then you start to see him play and you're like, no, this team would just clearly not have enough talent to win the SEC. There's not a world. And so my point is, maybe Connor Tollison has improved that much. We just have no proof of it with our own eyes, right? That if he has, you're right. This is best case scenario because you've got this guy playing at a much higher level at the position he learned all last couple of years. And then you've got Cameron Johnson playing at the position he already knows, and he has played at a pretty high level. But there is, to me, the thought that they brought Cameron Johnson in. They hired his O-line coach for him to be the starting center here. That was the plan. That is now no longer the plan. So, I'm not saying it's disastrous. I'm saying the possibility exists that things up front have not gone according to plan. I think we are reaching the point where it's pretty clear things have not gone to plan with the other transfer offensive linemen, because for the last 2 or 3 days at practice, from everything we can tell, Marcellus Johnson has gone from first team right tackle to either second team guard or second team tackle, depending on the day.
Right. Well, real quick to go back to Cameron just for a bit. I think if it was going, terrible, if it was going the way it's going for Marcellus, then we'd be talking about Cameron also being on the second team or whatever.
Fair point.
He's still moving around that guard. He's still lining up with the first team. So it's not all bad. That's why I said, again, it could be the best case scenario. And I don't want this to seem like, though, that Tollison is going to be an all conference. I don't think that's not what I'm trying to do. I just want people to know they feel he's adequate, like at the worst, like they're comfortable with throwing him out there.
And I think it does help. I think the one thing that we should have mentioned at some point, I think they view Armand Mimbo as a future superstar up front. And it helps that, hey, he was at right guard, but we are perfectly happy putting him back out at right tackle. Even if in the NFL he might be a guard, hey, if he can play right tackle for us for 3 years, 4 years, that is perfectly fine. And I think him being that already as a true sophomore is huge and giving them a little versatility up there.
Yeah, the way that everybody's talked about him, players, coaches, other people behind the scenes, you guys think Javon Foster, he's a pretty good player. They think he can be even better than him, or at least as good as him. And the fact that as a sophomore, who's only got a handful of games under his belt, but they've got him first team at 2 different spots and are comfortable with it either way. But that says a lot about him. But back to Marcellus Johnson, today seen him at second string left tackle. Tuesday seen him at second string, I want to say right guard.
Right guard, yeah.
And before that, I feel like he was working a lot with the first team as a right tackle. So what I understand, he's just going to be the 6-man utility player, whatever you want to call it, for whatever position. Obviously, he was left tackle at Eastern Michigan, so something happened to Javon Foster, they'd be comfortable putting him there. But it just seems like he's going to be the 6-man, although that's not set in stone.
Here's something I'd be interested in. Let's say Connor Tollison has something happen, he's got to miss a game.
Mm-hmm.
Who's center? Cameron Johnson or Bency Polgar?
I'm going Bency Polgar. I think
that might be true.
I've seen Bency work with the second team. Again, that's the center spot. I'll be trying to tell you, it's not Madden or eventually NCAA when that comes out. You can't just kind of plug pieces there. There's a lot of stuff that goes into that. And so Bency, year in, he's a real center, trying to move Cameron and stuff like that. What Missouri may get into, which is a kind of a bad hole, is you start moving around too many people and you kind of decrease their value as far as what their potential can be. And so that was my thing with Cameron Johnson. You put him at center, he may go from, a good left guard to a solid to okay center. You don't want to do that across the whole line.
Yeah. Sean House wants to know if the offensive line's improved enough to average 200 rushing yards a game. I don't know what they averaged last year. I'm gonna look it up real quick. I mean, I think the offensive line is going to be better. 200 yards a game. Let's see. Last year there were 24 teams in the country that ran for 200 yards a game. Missouri was not one of them. I am scrolling. Missouri averaged 154 yards a game, and a lot of that, frankly, came from Brady Cook.
Right. So you got that, and then on top of that, again, like the running backs. The running backs are a part of that, and we talk a lot about the line, and they're probably as good as the O-line can be, but Nathaniel P, he can't do the behind the scrimmage thing. That was really getting under the skin last year as far as just some of those tackles for loss being on him. And then Cody Schrader, for as consistent as he is, he's going to fall for it and get you yards. To get those kind of stat totals, like over 200 yards, you're going to need a lot more explosive runs, big runs, a lot more 100-yard games. And I can only remember, I think Pete had 2, and maybe
Schrader
had like
might have against Georgia because he had 65 on one carry.
But I think he only had 6 carries that game. Like, okay. I remember thinking he had a low count for that. So I think he may have had like a 90-yard game or something like that. But I don't know. There's a lot of factors to get 200 yards a game.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to run for 200 yards getting 4.6 a carry, right? Like you're gonna have to. Yeah, you're gonna have to get some 20s and 30s in there.
Yep.
But before we get to kind of our last plan topic, Jarod throwing us a little money. What players on your preseason all quote team? I mean, it's kind of tough because of the way interviews have gone. I mean, has there been anybody that you walked away saying, "What, that was a really good interview"?
There's been solid interviews. I don't know if there's something really good. I mean, when I talked to Brady Cook, the only thing I noticed about talking to or Jay Garcia, and I just this was before camp. I just like how real he was about it. Like, we're cool. Quarterbacks are cool. Brady's cool. Everybody cool. But I'm coming here to take his job. Like, he was pretty upfront with it. And, like, I just respected that because, the players are good at coach speak when it comes to us. So, that was cool. And it was cool. But
they're especially good at coach speak when there's one of them and 14 of us, right? Like if we get lucky and there are 2 or 3 guys there and it's a smaller group, you get better answers, but that hasn't, just timing wise, that hasn't happened a lot this camp.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. When I was talking to Jake, it was me and maybe there was somebody behind me, but it wasn't a group of people like usual. When I was talking to Brady Cook, for the most part, it was a one-on-one, and Brady Cook would be probably another one just because he seemed happy. I swear after like week 3, once he got hurt, you could just tell, like, it felt like he hated us. Like,
Brady did not. He 100% did not like us last year, and I'll tell you why. Because I saw the same thing happen with James Franklin in 2013. To these players, we represent what is said on social media. Now, it's not us for the most part, but they read message boards, they see Twitter, and the attitude of the fan, like, they don't talk directly to the fans. So the attitude of what's coming from fans a lot of times, and look, there were some negative things written about Brady too last year. Like, that's put on us at Prescott. Like, Brady is a really good interview when he wants to be, and he absolutely did not want to be the second half of last year.
Definitely not. Definitely not. But this year, when I talked to him just a few weeks ago, he had a smile on his face. He felt like you could just see him happier, like, it's a fresh start type of thing.
I think the best quote I've heard in camp this year so far was, I guess it was last week when Harrison Mevis was at a table and somebody said, you look like you've slimmed down this year, and he says, "Thank you." Just kind of cuts it off before there's even a question. So the not quite as thick kicker, he's always had a pretty good sense of humor, and he's been a good interview. Armand Mimbo seems like a good interview. I really liked Nathaniel Pete when we talked to him, but it's just, you got to get these guys in the right situation to really get them to loosen up. And honestly, you got to get them one-on-one is the biggest thing.
Well, Darius Robinson, I'll say Darius.
Oh yeah,
Robinson,
he's always good.
He's pretty good. But I'm going to be honest, probably the most entertaining guy is now plays at Georgia. So I'm not going to say his name to upset him.
Yeah, he was good, no question. Cam Klauser wants to know how many transfers are going to start. Is it just Weiss and Cameron Johnson? I think so. I mean, I think Dalen Carnell starts over. Well, there's going to be a problem. Well, I don't know. Is there going to be one at defensive end? I mean, Joe Moore could at defensive end, but that could also be Darius Robinson and Johnny Walker.
Yeah. So to continue with my spades example that I've been using recently, it's 2 and a possible. So it's going to be Weiss. It's probably going to be Cameron. And then, yeah, I was going to say Trevez. Because, again, that's another situation where I see it as like 1 and 1A. It doesn't seem like there's a – but I would give it to Dalen.
I think when it's 1 and 1A, you've got to go with the guy who's been here for 2 years. Like,
yeah.
If they are exactly even, you go with the guy who's been here for 2 years.
And I don't know. I'm kind of thinking this question I'm thinking of just starting a game or so. Yeah, full-time starter would be Dalen. Joe Moore is kind of maybe a little bit more of a possibility just because D-Rob – it's situational, but it's starting to seem like more towards like he's going to be the end. Like they're going to give him a handful of games to just start. They say situational. I feel like it's more situational that he moves inside for these first 4 or 5 games than it is he's going to be at DT and then he moves to defensive end. Like that may happen later in the season if he's not doing well, but it seems like everything is going towards full-time DN to start.
And I'm just going to tell you, this is based on nothing I've heard. This is nothing but my personal opinion. Do not write off Sidney Williams being a starter at safety. And the reason I say that is Carlisle, Charleston have been a little banged up, in like I think their safeties were solid last year, but I don't think they were great. I don't think they were dynamic. Like I think it's possible you could see a guy go win a job there at some point this season.
Maybe for Charleston. They like Carlisle a lot. And he's a ball hawk type guy. He's pretty big. And here's the thing about Charleston.
He's got the tools, man, but that Tennessee film is haunting.
Oh, yeah. And Kentucky, I remember he gave a touchdown just because he just wasn't looking the right way. Like he did it like towards the end of the season. You could kind of tell like he'll probably be one of those people who would come back just because the game tape this last couple of weeks were bad. But Charleston, they really like versatility, as you see with the offensive line. So Charleston being able to line up at so many different spots, that's what keeps him in. Also, he's a pretty big hitter. There's nothing wrong with a safety who can lay a big hit on somebody. But Sidney Williams can do, the versatility stuff too. So maybe you're
right. Which position do you think gets the most sacks? Look, it's got to be defensive end. I mean, especially but I think Joe Moore can rush the passer. I think Niles Gaddy can rush the passer. I think Johnny Walker can. If you move Robinson out there, it probably gives them a little more space to operate. I mean, it's got to be defensive end, doesn't it?
I'll tell you this: if it's your defensive tackle, because there's no Chris Jones on this roster, right. it's a problem because that means they're probably getting 3.
And if it's linebacker, that means you've got to be blitzing all the time.
Now, here's the thing about the edge.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I was going to say about the edge. I do feel like, at least for right now, if they're going to get sacks, it's going to be coverage sacks. That's how I'm thinking. I don't know if there's someone necessarily going to be able to just rack up 7 or 8 completely off of, their repertoire.
Here's why I also think it's defensive end. Because if Christian Williams plays the way he did last year, and you sit him next to whether it's Jaden Jernigan, Robinson, Realist George, whatever, like those guys demand some attention. And one of your guys on the edge is going to be one-on-one, whether that's Joe Moore, Niles Gaddy, Johnny Walker, whoever it is, got to go win some matchups. I think, I think one of those guys can. No, I just think I think defensive end is the clear answer here.
Yeah, I don't know. For a second, I was thinking a specific person. Yeah, as a group, yeah, I think the defensive ends, yeah. But I was thinking like, can a specific person themselves get like 7 or 8? We don't really know yet because even they're kind of still trying to wonder who are we putting at defensive end? What are we going to do there? So that's what I meant.
And again, there may be clear starters there. We just haven't really been able to see anything that indicates it yet.
Right.
And they have enough guys that it could be like maybe Darius plays defensive end on first and second down, but then on third down, it's like Gaddy and Walker and maybe even Joe Moore all on the field, right? Like it could be very situational things. But I think those are pretty much the names. But back to the question about the transfers and mentioned Theo Weiss. So kind of the third thing I wanted to hit on here was we spent some time kind of looking at the receiver group today. And it looks like right now, Marquise Johnson and Josh Manning are working as kind of outside receivers. Daniel Blood is the freshman that's in the slot. So of those three guys, how many do you think burn a red shirt this year, appear in at least 5 games?
Josh Manning probably has the best chance, although I was talking to you about this earlier about punt return. Daniel Blood and I think Marquise Johnson as well. They've been working with Luther Burden, doing punt returns. So if there's a point in the season where Luther just doesn't want to do punt returns, then those are 2 options.
Or they don't want him to. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. If that's the case, then yeah, I can see one of those guys, not burning or not having to use a red shirt because they're doing that.
Yeah. I think Manning plays. Now, look, it's fair to say how. I mean, they've got – because let's go through the receivers. They've got Burden, Weiss, Cooper, Miller, Peanut Houston played last year.
Wayne,
Jamarian Wayne. There might be one more that I'm missing too.
Dennis Jackson. Yep.
Dennis Jackson. Right. So that's 7 guys that have college experience that are on scholarship. But I just think they'll get Joshua Manning out there. I think we'll see some 4 receiver sets, because I'm not sure what they're going to have it tight end, especially early in the year. So I think we'll see some 4 receiver sets. I think Joshua Manning plays. And I Marquise Johnson, it wouldn't shock me. Now, it may be mostly on special teams, but like he is fast as hell, and it would not shock me. The only reason I'm not throwing Blood in here is because since he's working with the slot guys, he's behind Burden and Mekhi Miller right now. There's just not there's not enough snaps. I mean, you put him out there in blowouts and stuff, but there's not enough snaps where it makes sense to burn a red shirt, I don't think.
Right. And on top of that, guys like Mekhi Miller and Dennis Jackson, those guys seem like guys who could go outside or inside as they're like whatever we kind of need. So if they were really in a bench, they probably still wouldn't be Daniel Blood. They probably just put one of who's ever not on the field or whatever. They'll just move them there.
Yeah. All right. So I want to hit on a couple of the questions we got super early, but they're about recruiting. So I kind of wanted to save those for the end. Acrylic wants to know, other than Wingo, who has Mizzou been recruiting heavily? So tomorrow evening at 5:00, Dre Kirkpatrick Jr. is making his announcement in Gadsden, Alabama. It's Missouri, Alabama, Arkansas, Auburn are in his final 4. Most people believe this to be Missouri or Alabama. We all believe it to likely be Missouri in about 21, 22 hours. But we'll see where that goes tomorrow. Elias Williams, the defensive end out of Florida, is making a decision early in September. Those are the 2 that we know were immediate, and then whatever happens with Ryan Wingo is the other thing there. And this one, I think this is kind of interesting because it goes back to a quote that has followed Missouri football around for decades from Tom Osborne. But Dan wants to know, do you think Mizzou is uniquely positioned in NIL where it's the only Power 5 school in the state that has corporate money from 2 top 30 metro areas? And could recruiting consistently be in the top 10 or 20? So that's why this NIL law is so unique for Mizzou. Because, like, it says any in-state school, right? So, yeah, technically it can benefit Northwest Missouri State or Rolla or Central Missouri or whatever. But there's only one school here who plays big-time college football where you're talking about guys that are probably going to get those kind of deals. Like, if Kansas passes this Well, Kansas and Kansas State are probably splitting those kids, right? Even if Colorado passes it, like Colorado State is like a Division I football program. There literally isn't another one in this state. You know, Kentucky's got Louisville, Tennessee's got Vandy. It's the only one. And that I think that is another reason this is. I mean, it wasn't accidental that the governor and all the state legislators were on Mizzou's campus signing that bill. Like it says any post-secondary institution in the state of Missouri, but this is all about the University of Missouri.
Yeah, and could it crack the top 10 to 20 consistently? I'd say so, as long as they're not terrible. Because at the end of the day, I feel like, you know, if you're just a loser, like a real loser, no one's gonna want to start that rebuild in the process.
And I think it is important to know, like, yes, NIL matters, but you still, like you said, you still have to win games. And also, like, we still have to give Eli Drinkwitz credit for building and Kevin Peoples for building that relationship. Because, like, if Williams Nwaneri hated them, I don't care what the price tag is, he's not coming. Right. You know, I mean, they still have to like the coach and see him as a guy they can see playing for. So the relationship, while it maybe doesn't matter quite as much as it did pre-NIL, it still matters. And yeah, this goes back to Tom Osborne saying in like the 1970s or 80s, Missouri's a sleeping giant, because it does have a lot of these, like, NIL can really benefit the University of Missouri if the fans are in on it, and they certainly seem to be. And I think the biggest thing, and this is the thing that honestly I don't think has ever really occurred here. Like the word you always hear in coaching searches and athletic director searches and all that is alignment, right? Everybody has to be aligned. This place had been like, dude, it hadn't gotten an alignment in a long time. Like, it was all over the damn place. But it seems like the athletic director, the football coach, the basketball coach, the state legislature, the curator, like everybody finally kind of seems to be all in on this thing. And I think it can make a pretty big difference.
Yeah, I'm not as strong on our basketball side, but I wonder how this works, you know, on that side of the coin as well.
Well, because the thing is, like I've always said, you know, Missouri football fans have always said, well, if we could just keep the top talent home, we could be a top 25 team. I said, no, you need more than that. There's not enough in the state of Missouri. You got to be able to recruit outside. But legitimately, like the list of high school basketball absolute studs who have left this state. I mean, Derek Hood, Jerron Rush, Patrick Ritchie, Chris Lindley, Ryan Robertson, Bradley Beal, Tyler Hansbrough, Jason Tatum. I mean, like, I could make an NBA all-star team out of dudes from Missouri that haven't played for Missouri. So I think it makes a big difference there too. You know, so yeah, to answer, I mean, short answer to Dan's question is yes, it has a chance. Now, yes, you still have to be a guy that connects with the kids. Both Gates and Drinkwitz seem to be that. You still have to go out and win some games. You still have to get some out-of-state guys, because this specific law does not apply to out-of-state kids, although you can still make them NIL offers, obviously. And look, everybody knows this. Whenever legislatures open back up for next year, there are going to be a whole bunch of places passing laws pretty similar to this one.
Yeah, it's a good thing that Missouri got ahead of it a little bit then.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, Missouri jumped ahead of it. Other Jarod brought up another one, Caleb Love, right? He left the state and played in the title game. So, you know, there's a lot of guys out there that that this could make a difference with. So, I don't know. We miss anything, man? Is there anything else we got to talk about?
Not that I can think of, no.
Yeah, open practice. I think we got interviews tomorrow. Is that right?
Player interviews, yeah.
Okay. And then open practice on Saturday. At some point, we're going to talk to Drinkwitz again. Okay. Britt Tree says the captains were just released. So before looking at Twitter, have you looked at it yet?
Well, no, I got a notification. I was just like, let me
so
put it.
before we look at it, there's 4 captains. Who do we think they are? You go first.
Ooh, because that means I feel like a quarterback has to be one of them. All right. Okay, let me do this. Darius Robinson. Cody Schrader. Javon Foster. And I'll go Christian Williams. That was spicy. Christian.
Okay. I'm going to go Robinson and Schrader, I think, are sure things. I think they're definite captains. I don't think there's a quarterback that's going to – I don't know. I mean, I feel like Brady Cook could be a captain, but I don't know if you take your guys. Chris Abrams drain. I'll go with him. And then the other guy's got to be somewhere on offense, so I guess I'll go Brady Cook.
Did you say Javon Foster already?
I did not say Foster.
Oh.
I don't know. I'm taking a shot here. I want to be a little different than you. So I'm going to look it up here real quick, or somebody can throw it in the comments if they want to.
Oh, there's 6. Somebody lied.
6? Well, come on, man.
You want me to read them?
Okay. Brady Cook, Cody Schrader, Javon Foster, Chad Bailey, Tyron Hopper, Darius Robinson. I'm a little surprised by Hopper just because he is not a vocal guy. I'm a little surprised by Bailey, frankly, because he had some legal issues this spring.
No. I was thinking,
I would have 100. I would 100% have said Chad Bailey, but I thought that might be an issue. I'm not at all surprised by Cook, and not super surprised by Foster or Schrader or Robinson either. Those would have been the 4. 6, I didn't realize they'd taken a page out of Dennis Gates' book and just like you a captain and you a captain and you a captain.
Well, this is down 2 from last year. Was 8. So
was it really?
it was 8. I got 3 of them right. Brady Cook was one I wanted to say, but I was thinking because of the quarterback competition. But I honestly think he could be a captain and still lose the quarterback competition. It wouldn't be that dramatic, I guess, if that happened. Yeah. So, all right.
Yeah. And look, I think his teammates completely respect the guy. Whether he's the starting quarterback or not, they like him, they respect him. So that's why he gets this. So
I mean, he proved he was the toughest player on the team. I mean, there's Gabe, I could do a lot of things. I'm dealing with some problem from sleep. My neck is out here acting crazy. My day has not been good. Brady's shoulder fell off.
You're hurt because you slept wrong at 24.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, let me tell you, as about to be 47, you got a bad road ahead of you if that's the case at 24.
Yeah, it's not great, but I'll figure it out.
All right, man. Well, we're gonna let you go. We're gonna let you run down and take a steam with all the old men. So hopefully you feel a little bit better, and we'll let you enjoy your evening, man. So I want to thank all you guys for joining us. If you watch live, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, do all those things. If you're listening on the podcast, which I will put up after this, say nice things, leave a good comment on social media, share the shows, all of that. And no matter what you do, get in touch with our guy, James Carlton at Carlton Insurance in Webster Groves, Missouri. From Illinois, from the state of Missouri, he can take care of your insurance needs, home, auto, life, whatever you need. Get in touch with James Carlton. He's going to do his absolute best to give you the best deal he possibly can. Great customer service. I have never reached out to James and not had an answer back very quickly. So I can promise you that his office is going to take care of you. CarltonInsurance.net, 314-961-4800 is the phone number. Once again, if you do reach out to him and you just get a quote, like you don't have to get the insurance, just get a quote. Make sure you mention Power Mizzou, mention this show, and he's going to donate $20 toward Mizzou's NIL efforts for every quote he gives out. So make sure to check that out at CarltonInsurance.net. Thanks for joining. We'll be back next Thursday. We're going to go game by game throughout the season. And then after that, folks, we are in game week. So we'll talk to you next time.